A palette full of color, we'll leave the truth uncovered, cause only lies are white. We use the words we write to shine a light on life. My light is lava like it's hot and burning bright. Now read, recall, record, recite. We covered everything, now hope.
Hi everybody, we are back with another episode of And Cyn. I'm Cynthia Dorsey.
I'm Veronique McRae.
And we're so happy you're back with us in the room. We are on episode 14. I'm so grateful. I know. I'm so grateful that you've been on this journey with me. Every day I find out about more playwrights and we can just continue to add these women to our list. And I'm so excited to actually talk about this playwright who I had a really hard time doing research about. Her name is Chinonyerem. She was born in Nigeria. She lives in London. So we have another British playwright on our hands. We just covered Winsome Pinnock and Chinonyerem. She says that Winsome has influenced her writing. So I thought she was a perfect person to talk about today. She identifies as a poet and a playwright. I watched this interview and she said, I'm a poet and a playwright. But in the same interview, she's talking about revolutionary things, which is why I start by saying this woman is an undercover revolutionary. She definitely advocates for Black and Brown people in spaces, taking up space, especially theater spaces and performance spaces. Her theater background is vast. A lot of her work is commissioned in the UK. She has written plays from dramas to comedy. Some of these works include The Bird of Lewisham, His Name is Ishmael and Medea, Rainy Season, and The Princess and the Hustler. She's also a screenwriter. She's written for BBC. Some of her poetry pieces are Tango International, The Royal Exchange, and The Diversity School. She's already been winning awards in the UK. She has won one of the top awards, the Alfred Fagan Award. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And then in 2015, an unproduced play of hers called Wild is the Wind was in the final 10 for the Bruntwood Playwriting Award. This woman is... she's amazing. Her writing is impeccable. And here in the United States, we need to know more about her. Today, we're going to discuss The Princess and the Hustler.
So when reading and being introduced to Princess and Hustler, one of the things that I was drawn about is just the backdrop. So the story focuses on a little girl named Princess, and in the beginning, the forefront or the description you see is that, you know, she's 10 years old and she has this plan to win the Western Superior Beauty Contest. But this is just one of the storylines in the forefront. The backdrop of Princess's family is set during the Black British Civil Rights Movement in 1963 around the Bristol boycott. So for me, one of the first things I loved is that this is a part of history that I did not know that was happening for Black Brits. So we're on this backdrop where they are boycotting and raising up their voices against the bus company because they won't allow Blacks or Asians to work on the crew. And when we take the lens, this play looks at Princess's family. Mavis, her mother, and then the hustler is known as her wayward father. And just looking at their story where Princess's parents have moved from Jamaica to Bristol for what was supposed to be better job opportunities and a better life around 1945. And then now we see them in the backdrop of, again, systematic oppression, racism. We're also in looking at the lens of Princess, who wants to win this beauty contest. And later on, we're seeing how at 10 years old, she encounters bullying. And we start to see these themes where it's just not about her going for a beauty contest, but we're looking at civil rights themes, systematic oppression, and even Mavis's neighbor dealing with, maybe unconscious, you could say, prejudice.
Yeah.
So we have this lens in Princess and the Hustler where it's not just like this little cutesy play about a 10-year-old girl, but the playwright like zones in. The play was first published in book form and ebook form in 2019. All right, so we're only in 2020. And what I really love is that for me, it gives me us a lens to look at life for Blacks outside of the US. My lived experience is one as a Black woman in the United States. And sometimes with the political climate, it's like, well, where would I move? If I moved, where would I go? And to see how, unfortunately, this type of racism and systematic oppression is across the globe, you kind of get a glimpse of what is it like for Black Brits, or what was it like, and what were their similar struggles going on in the same, timelines. So that's kind of just a brief synopsis of it. But okay, Cynthia, anything, what comes to mind? What pops up first
So,
about this piece?
yeah, I mean, I think as a playwright, she has tackled so many things in one play that it
Mhm.
blows my mind. The, um, you have the migration from Jamaica to England, which is definitely, I have one of my best friends, her whole family left Jamaica and went to London to find jobs. And so then you
Mm.
get there and you want to work for the bus company and you can't. Like these are things that are occurring in our everyday lives. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so then you have a young girl with a dream. We've talked about so
Mhm.
many plays, guys.
Oh my.
And every single time where these characters are dreaming. And so you have a younger girl dreaming. We've all been there. And not quite sure if her dream is going to come true because of these systems in place to make her dreams not seem feasible. You have the dad who's had a baby out of
Right.
wedlock, and
Yeah.
he's out here hustling and sneaking around. You see these men in our lives. They have a place in our lives. They have a reason for doing the things that they want to do. But mainly they just want to be seen, heard. They want to work. They
Mhm.
want to provide. They want to love. And I felt really connected to this piece because so often we feel separated from our Black and Brown communities overseas, and
Mhm.
this connects our stories. We in the United States, we have those of us who were plucked from the shores of Africa, and now we are descendants of those slaves. We have those who have come from Jamaica here to the United States. Our community is not a monolith. We are
Right.
so vast, but also we are sometimes intentionally, okay, we've been separated from each other. And so this story, knowing, like you said, learning about the boycott, knowing that we had the same Montgomery bus boycott for not being able to sit where we wanted to sit on the buses, and they're in Bristol overseas in the UK, they're going through a similar boycott. I just felt really connected, to the our community abroad, but
Mhm.
also definitely disheartened that no
Right.
matter where we are in the world, we are going through this struggle based on our skin color. Um, so yeah, I thought it was a phenomenal play, and I think this playwright is one to watch, most definitely.
Yeah, I feel that she's given us so much to chew on. And for me, that's what I love about art. It's not like I can cherry pick one thing and that's what she went on. And then trying to find out background on the play and on her. And I'm glad that you shared earlier because I was a little bit like, Dante, I can't find anything on, I can't find one, I can't find one. So I did start reading some reviews. And being a former critic, one of the things that stood out to me from one of the reviews that I disagreed with is that one critic stated that there was so much layers she didn't really go in depth with anything. I don't agree with that. And the reason that I feel like she went in depth is because I can pick up this story and I know these people, right? I know who's in this story because this is a lived experience. The authenticity of how she creates this family and, almost like dreams deferred, like we've talked about before, and will you ever achieve it? And like you said, always experiencing these levels of racism, like, man, no matter where you go, it's always a trouble with skin color, right? Like no matter where you go. And one of the other things that I appreciate about with her layers is that I will encounter a lot of, and it's a slight segue, but I will encounter a lot of Black actors from the US who have a problem with Black British actors being cast. And it was something about you said a few moments ago with like intentional separation. And I feel like now that we've been able to explore more than one British playwright, which I love because it's like, what do our voices sound like across the globe, right? That stories like this are important to bring us back together, to demystify the stereotypes and the thoughts that are floating out there if you haven't had the chance to encounter. But really, like you said, we're so interconnected. And I think the power of art and the power of this playwright and how she's using her voice in a revolutionary way is that the more connected we become, the stronger we are. And we'll learn that we can stand up. And honestly, once we stand up, it's game over. We're in a highly political time in the US. And unfortunately, still seeing like we're pretty much a split 50-50 country where racism still leads the thought processes of half of the Americans here. My statistics may be a little bit off, but as far as I can remember from the last time checking, 70% of America is still white or categorized as white. And pretty much 50% of the vote, 70 million people, voted for a president who leads in misogynistic, patriarchal, racist ways. So I feel like art has and always is a way to break barriers and lift your voice. And just all these comparisons from this family traveling from Jamaica to go look for jobs for a better life, just like we see now how many Latin families and immigrant families and families from the islands travel here to do that. I just feel as if this story, from what I could tell, I've only seen production in the UK, and I could be wrong. But from what I've studied so far, I've only seen production of this in the UK. But I feel like if pieces like this can also be brought over to the US and different parts of the African diaspora, it will allow us to be like, you know what, this is going on too. Maybe I need to connect with my British brothers and sisters and my, brothers and sisters across different areas where we can really stand up and really shut down the things that have oppressed us for generations. Like it's a generational worldwide issue. So what I really love about the story, but also makes me extremely sad about the story, is that I have not set foot on European soil. I have not been to the UK, but this story is ever familiar to me. And so the power in that I really love, but the fact that it's so relatable brings a sadness to it as well. But I am looking forward to learning more about her writing, because I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something to chew on. It's meaty. It's yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. I when reading about her, she said like her influences range from Churchill to Amiri Baraka. She
Mm.
is her. She's like one of these women I would definitely want to sit in the same room with and just feed off of her energy because you can tell her art brain is always churning, but it's matched with this activist brain that I love to hear artists connect in their work. So if you can, I know that she has during quarantine, she wrote a play that is actually on YouTube. She has a couple of YouTube videos where she's talking about revolutionary theater and what it looks like when you get it right. You know, we always are talking about when something is wrong. Oh, they didn't treat me this way when I walked into the room. Oh, I'm too dark skinned, I'm too this, I'm too that. Well, she explains and maps it out what it feels and looks like when you get right. And that's a call of action. You know what I'm saying? What we never say, okay, we shouldn't have to say it. Okay. It should definitely be in our human aura and our psyche how to treat people, right? But that's not evident. We don't see that
Right.
often at all. But she definitely maps it out. I watched a video about what it felt like when she walked into a theater and it was right. The setup was right. What she needed to write the play, the support she needed, a basic hello, whatever she needed, she got, and what it felt like. And I think we should definitely, as arts activists, begin to start stating that. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Because people seem not to understand the importance, you know, of how you treat Black and brown people in your white space. So I appreciate her. I'm so glad, you know, I came across her, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her work and following her on YouTube. Veronique just said a statement that made me think about the young lady we're bringing on today. And she said, once you use your voice, game over. And Veronique, you just said that, and it reminds me of the young lady we're bringing on. She ran away from her voice, essentially, ran away from her talent, but she's pushing now, and so it's game over right now. Here she comes. She's getting ready to tear down. So you guys tune in. I think you're gonna like her a lot. We are here with the Kirsten Jackson. Hi, Kirsten.
Hey guys.
We're so happy to have you. I actually watched Kirsten like grow up in church. We went to the same church at the time, and she is inherently talented, like blessed beyond measure. Kirsten, I wanted to ask you what that feels like, right? So a lot of people say, you know, I was born with this gift, and I mean, literally seeing you as a child grow up, you were born gifted. What does that feel like?
You know, it's so crazy. It's so crazy to even hear you say that, because for the longest in my adult life, guys, I'm 26. I just turned 26 on Monday. And for the longest, I've been struggling with, was I really born talented? Was I given a gift, or was acting and performing arts, was that just something I kind of leaned into and took a liking to? But did I really, did God give me inherently what it takes to perform? So first of all, thank you. That has blessed my life. But as I have been, you know, leaning more into performing and leaning more into that side of who I am, my creativity, it's hard. It's hard because that's who I am naturally. However, then I'm like, okay, well, I in other areas of my life where I want to be more, let's say, predictable. So I work a 9-to-5 job, right? But I would much rather be on somebody's stage entertaining somebody else. But I know that, the industry is not one that's going to feed me immediately. I have to work at that. That takes time. And so it's hard for me knowing that, yes, God did make you to perform. God did make you to entertain the masses. It's hard for me to kind of sit in that, know that, but then up in here, it's like, okay, Kirsten, on one side, you got to feed yourself and you got to like shelter yourself. But on the other side, you know that your heart is yearning to do something else that won't necessarily do the things that are predictable. So it's hard. It's like, that constant like battle with myself.
When you were just speaking about how you said the industry is not going to feed you immediately, can you talk a little bit more about that, like just what it's like within your journey, and trying to find that balance with the struggle between, covering your basics or your necessities and then living out, the gifts that you were inherently, born and gifted with?
So I recently have decided that I am going to get back into the game and I am not going to let anything deter me from pursuing an acting career, because I'm just like, listen, I've spent half of my whole life like acting on the side, doing little things here and there, but it hasn't necessarily been me going like full throttle into it. Like, oh yeah, well, I see that there's a casting out in New York. Let me go to New York and, read for this part. I've never been given the opportunity, or I've never felt like I've had the opportunity to do that. I've more so been afraid that, well, what if I can't feed myself? Like, or what if I make my father upset? Or what if I, make my family upset? I've always been living my life for other people and not me. So I have recently been like, nah, I'm going to give it a try. Well, me giving it a try and, me loving to pierce my ears and have on these, hoops, homegirl hoops is what I like to call them. I've noticed I don't necessarily fit the look that everybody is going for, especially in the industry. So it's been hard for me to kind of figure out, okay, what is my look going to be, and not, denote my importance that I have to the industry. Because I know that I have the gift and I know that I have the talent, but I'm like, everybody has, that thing. And I'm trying to figure out what is my thing and how can I be accepted into the industry, which is a funny thing for me to say, because it's like, okay, Kirsten, don't live your life for acceptance. But really, as an actress, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to show the casting directors, hey, I have some likability, so accept that likability.
It's interesting that you say that, because we've talked to a lot of actresses who felt the same way as you did. They didn't know exactly if they fit the role. They were too big, too dark skinned, too this, too that. Veronique and I have that same similar story as we progressed in trying to find our place in the industry. But one thing we know that you are doing without even having going full throttle into your acting career is that you are creating your own content. And that's exactly what people are saying that they need to do. They don't care anymore about being cast in this because they don't look that way. If they dream something, they're going to go ahead, record it, and get it done. Can you talk to us about what's going on with you and your creative content that you're doing on your own while you're trying to figure everything out?
Guys, it has been legitimately, it's been hard and it's been a hard journey, but it is so fun to be like woken up out of my sleep at like 3 a.m. and I have an idea and I have to like jot it down on my phone or else it's out the window. But it's been so fun. And I just want to shout out real quick Issa Rae, because I feel like without being that little girl who legitimately like came home every day after school and like ran to my computer and watched Awkward Black Girl, I wouldn't have even like thought to do something like this, or without even seeing, Cynthia, how you have just taken your ideas and your thoughts and made them into a beautiful production company. Like without seeing people who look like me do it first, I would have never even thought that I could do it. So I just saw that, you know, looking in the mirror and saying, I'm not seeing a lot of girls who really look like me, are shaped like me, because I got a real in-between body. God bless me up top, but on the bottom, I'm like, come on, Mike. So, you know, I feel like it's not a lot of women on TV who really I can connect with and say, hey, I see Kirsten Jackson in her. So once I saw that, I was like, nah, I got to do it for myself. And I've always had the aspiration that once I'm put on, I'm going to be able to put my team on, as people like to say. So I always wanted to bring all of my creative friends in with me and be able to build like this huge empire from it. So as the ideas come and as I start the productions, I'm still, you know, fairly new to it, but it's just an amazing process to see an idea start one place, you know, start in my mind, and then come into fruition in sometimes a way that I never even thought it could come into fruition. So I think it's so fun. It's such a fun thing for me to do.
What so I noticed you just said that it's fairly new to you, but could you share like maybe one of those ideas that you have flowing right now, and then also as you're, you know, parsing and making your way for your acting industry wise as well, what type of role would you desire to be cast in? So what kind of roles or projects are you creating right now for others to be in? And then what would be a role that you would like to be offered or see yourself in on that screen or stage where you may not have seen somebody like you yet?
So thank you. That was actually a really great question, because I haven't thought about the second one, but I'm going to when I answer the question. So one of the projects I have right now is I want to tell my story as a 26-year-old virgin, y'all. I am a 26-year-old virgin, and I want to make a funny, quirky web series about my life, but I want it to be not like solely based on my life, but kind of like, and I guess I will say kind of sort of like the Awkward Black Girl thing, but I want it to be uplifting. I want it to incorporate, because I'm in clinical mental health counseling right now. I am in my third year in the program, in my master's program. And what I've found is that through this program, there are a lot of people out here who have experienced some type of trauma in some type of way. And everybody, whether we know it or not, needs help and needs to talk to someone. And that might not come from your homegirl. That might not come from your homeboy. It might come from a clinical mental health professional. I want to find a way to engage both how my life as a virgin is, but also how my thoughts coming from who I was when I was younger and thinking about why I chose to be a virgin to now as why I choose to be a virgin, but also not just the thoughts of me surrounded around virginity and sex period, but my community and the people that I know who haven't, who have lost their virginity. And some people I know have had their virginity taken from them. Some people that I know have given their virginity at a young age. I want to be able to have that kind of sex talk in a healing space. I want to be able to facilitate just that, but add my quirkiness to it. Because I feel like I'm as simple can be. And my God, what would that look like on the screen? So that's one of the things I would like to do, or something that I have, just my wheels are spinning on that right now. But let's see. Okay, so I like to be real dramatic. I don't want to play nothing that is like me. I want to be stretched, y'all. Like, if it even smells like a little bit of Kirsten, I'd be like, because this is just going to be me playing me, and I don't want to fall into that. So I would love to play a girl who is just like the vixen. You know what I'm saying? Like the it girl who, walks in with the heels on, the pumps, the red bottoms, and the red lip, who all the guys are just like, who is that? Oh my goodness. And she comes into town and creates scandal, honey. Like, I would love to be her. That would be so fun to play because I'm so not that. So that would be so fun to play. And I feel like that would be stretching to me.
I can see you doing it. I really could. I think it's wonderful how, even though you say like you have allowed others' input to dictate if you pursue this and you worry about paying your bills and eating, I just love how in your life you're already acting and you don't even realize it. So one thing I saw recently that you did for your church was that you acted out this whole thing for the kids at your church. Now we're hearing you're going to use theater, acting, performance to support your work as a mental health professional, but you also use it to minister. And I want you to tell us about that as well, because I think that's an important aspect of who you are, and it's an important work. I feel like theater and acting and ministry is very important work.
Yes. So I became the youth, I'll say director, but it's really not a real title at my church, because if you have the heart to do it, you just do it, Grace Life. But I became the youth director and youth minister at my church. I'll say in 2018 is when I stopped playing around with it and actually started to like do it. And since then, I have been so blessed with so many different ideas regarding how I choose to incorporate and kind of like marry together acting and ministry. I know that because God put this gift inside of me, I also have discovered that I have a gift for teaching. And so I wanted to, use my two gifts but also because I'm working with babies for the most part, I know that reading them the word ain't gonna be probably as as beneficial as acting the word, right? So we could say John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, for whosoever chooses to believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Or I could put on a whole play about how Jesus hung up on that cross, right? And literally rode into, what was it, Jerusalem? Because y'all know I ain't no Bible thumper. But he rode into that thing on a donkey, you know what I'm saying? And was literally praised by them people beforehand. And then shortly after, the same people are what? Spitting at him, mocking him, right? I feel like that is what catches the people. Seeing it is what catches the people. So me as a child seeing, plays being put on by our youth ministry, I took that with me and I'm like, this is what gets the kids. This is what helps them to understand what the word is saying. So I just try to take my lessons that I'm already teaching and incorporate them in a different way and try to make them funny because, the kids love to laugh, but also try to teach them overall that, listen, God loves you and he will never stop loving you, and try to take away like this, the scariness of it all. Like when I was a child, it was, if you don't follow this, you're going to hell. Do you know that? And hell is hot. And I'm like, okay, or maybe you could just be like, Jesus loves you. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm just caught up because I'm like, yeah. I just think it's really beautiful the way that you are using all of your gifts. And I know in the beginning you were like trying, when we started, you were like, I'm not, sure if I was giving her such and such, but just all those things you just stated all together, like with the teaching and the ministry and, ministry within the walls with your youth and the ministry outside the walls with your profession as a clinician and then putting it together. I just think it's amazing how you're able to tie all of that together and all of that, you're creating your own work, right? Because, like you said, a lot of people, especially youth, we don't, I could read to you all day and be bored out my mind and be like, okay, whatever. But you having a gift of being able to visualize it, to mount it for them. What do you have any plans for them right now, just in teaching and how is that going, like with the pandemic? And I know we're in different areas, so some rules have lightened for others, and maybe like some ministries are meeting, some aren't. But how have you been able to utilize, if you've been able to utilize your gifts during the pandemic this year?
So I have started to teach via Zoom, and even though, so while you guys are talking, my wheels are spinning because I'm like, Kirsten, you literally have been on a stage this whole time and you haven't even thought of it that way, because it's not a physical stage, but you're still on a stage doing your thing. So thank you guys so much for that. But right now I've been teaching via Zoom, and I literally put together, like via Canva, I put together slideshows, and I try my hardest to be as animated as I can, as vivid with trying with what I say to them, because I'm trying to, although I'm not physically there, acting it out, I want them to create an imagery in their mind so that they can act it out in their own head. And I hope, and y'all really are stirring something up inside of me. Like, wow. Because I didn't know that this was what exactly I was doing, but I do it with that intention. Like, I want them to be able to not just see the characters, but see themselves inside of the characters. And so I try to explain it, and then I don't just try to go like word for word with my lesson, but I'm like, okay, so now let's imagine this and let's imagine that so that they can see themselves inside of it. And so with my job, I am putting together a community service project I work with the health department at a recovery playhouse or clubhouse. And I am going to take on the task of putting together a community service play via Zoom that is just going to talk about what happens when we allow our anger to take hold of us and we allow for us to act out of turn. So that should be really fun. I'm really excited to get that moving and shaking and see what, my wheels are going to be doing with that.
So when you are auditioning or when you get ready to hit New York by storm, what are you going to do to prepare, or what have you done to prepare for a cold read?
So although I haven't necessarily gone physically in to do a cold read, I know that them cold reads are like, you say you want me to do what now? Oh, okay. So I know I'm all about preparation in anything that I do because I'm always afraid of messing up, right? But now I'm learning, just be in the moment. Just be who you are in the moment and just add a little razzle dazzle. That's what people say now. That's what the kids are saying. Razzle dazzle. Added a little, spunk and a little fun into the character because it's a character, So make the person who you're supposed to be, make them what you want it to be. That's what creativity is about. So when I do get a chance to just go in, do a cold read, and have the opportunity, once the world open back up prayerfully soon, I'm going to stop being so much inside of my head and just go for it and give the character all of me, but also all of my creativity.
Well, today we're taking you through a cold read.
Yeah.
You'll be reading for Mavis.
Okay.
And Veronique, you will read for Wendell. And whenever you're ready, you can start.
Mavis.
No.
Listen.
No. You?
Long time.
What kind of things Satan bring to my door today? Unless you his ghost?
No.
Yes, must be that.
It me for real.
No. 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 Take yourself from me house, Dopey.
No be like this, Mavis. Let me just come in and talk for a little while, me and you. That's all I'm asking.
If you don't take yourself out of me house, I will call the police on your backside.
Mavis, me know you a sharp. Me think twice before me come here. 3 times even. Me think real hard on this one. Look at this. Let me just talk with you a little. Just a little time for me. Me beg you, Mavis.
Listen to me, Wendell. I don't have the time nor the inclination to abide your foolishness today. If you now want to be locked up today, I beg you, take yourself back to whatever old mess you just called from.
You're vexed. Me sees that. You're vexing a way and you're every rate to be.
Vex? Vex? You come say vex like someone come and take my purse from my handbag. Or eat too much from the Dutch pot. Me not vex, Wendell. Me beyond vex. Me angry. Me angry enough to kill your right ear and then tell your mother why. Me angry enough to go to jail for them years and still be laughing.
Think of the children.
Children, we done talking now, Wyndham. You best step from my door. Before I do some, you're going to regret.
The thing is, Mavis.
Wyndham, me not have business with you.
Me can't go no place else.
Thank you for your visit.
You go dope upon somebody else. Mavis. Mavis. You still me wife, you hear?
Forgive me, Father. May God cut him Rod's throat.
Mavis. Meet me daughter, Lorna.
And scene. Oh my God. How do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh. This is harder than when I was doing it being myself. And I was like, oh snap, I done stepped over a whole line and a half. Oh my gosh. But it was fun. Oh my gosh, it was fun. And y'all see, I had my little, let me put it away because you know. I don't want y'all to get this.
I know, I was like, wait now, baby.
I had my little
So what's next for you? What do you have lined up? If you could just give us a map for the next 2 years, like where do you go in the next 2 years?
So in the next 2 years, prayerfully, I am going to be doing more with writing my plays and getting my productions out there to the public to see. Also teaching kids more how to be themselves, teaching kids how to not be afraid like I was growing up, not to dim their light like I did much of the time I was growing up and wanting to get out into the world and act and show the world my talents. But, you know, just being afraid of what if I fail? I want to, you know, teach children that it's okay to fail. And it's also okay to be undeniably who you are. I am thinking about writing a series of children's small books and then turning them into plays as well, so that I can just, I don't know, hit the ground running and really just embark on what I know God has put me here to do.
Well, I am super duper proud of you. I'm like edge of the seat, waiting to see how you use your gifts to actually shift the way the world is moving right now. I feel like God has blessed you with that gift. And you've expanded your gift. You're studying mental health, getting your master's, you're ministering, and all of those tools are needed in performance. And you're going to be the expert. You're going to be the expert. And I'm really excited to see what God's going to do, because he's moving. And once the door to 2020 lets us go, okay, lets us open up and fly, you're going to fly. So I'm really happy for you and excited.
Thank you so much. I'm probably going to cry after this, but that's cool because emotions are good. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that, especially coming from you. You know, listen, y'all, growing up, I was Cynthia Dorsey's protege, okay? And do you know how much weight that carries as a little child?
Oh.
As a little child. I'm back to Mavis. That carries so much. Like I just was like, oh my gosh, she's this powerhouse. And if they see only a half of what they see in her and me, oh, I gotta 1-2 step my way right on into this thing. So I just want to say thank you for taking me under your wing when you did, and just showing me literally how to like move and shake and be all in the life of a performer. Thank you, girl.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure just to be around you. So in all things, God bless you, because we know the best is coming.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you for having me so much.
Roll and see.